Good afternoon. I'm out here watering my lawn, uh, and I just wanted to speak to you all today about some simple principles or things that I live by, and I understand that everybody is different, and I want to address that because every investor that I know typically thinks that they know everything, right? Which we all know is not the case, right? We all have room to grow and things to learn from. Um, However, they may believe they know everything because their strategy works for them, for their mindset, for their capacity, for their mental capacity, right? Their strategy is working for them and continues to work for them. Here's the thing. Not everybody is a fix and flip investor. Not everybody is a short-term investor. Not everybody is a long-term investor. Not everybody is an Airbnb investor. Not everybody is a stock market investor. Not everybody is a whatever investor, right? I know so many different investment opportunities that I've done, even option trading, right? I don't even consider option trading to be investing, but there are people who do that professionally, and they're pretty good at their job. So when it comes to me, I'm a long-term hold investor. My goals is to pay off each and every single property that I purchase with debt. I do not adhere fully to the damn Dave Ramsey method because I do take out a 30-year mortgage rather than a 15. I don't put 20% down. Instead, I typically have put 10% down, and I would put less because I do have access to a VA loan option. Why do I try to not necessarily maximize, but get a better deal for my situation, right? Well, let me explain that. What is a better deal, right? Because everybody's definition of a better deal can be different as well. So a better deal to me is being able to afford something that produces an income for me that I would prefer to live in myself. If I can't see myself living there, I would not purchase the property. In order to see myself living there, I need to buy something that I would actually live in, correct? All right. So if I have a property that is 2 bed, 1 bath, and I just don't like the neighborhood, I don't like the layout, I don't like any of that, then I'm not purchasing this property. It may have been looked over by other people with the means to purchase this home. However, if it's a property that I like, I'm going to purchase it because I know that as a renter, there are going to be others who can pay rent to live in such a place. So, for example, the first property I got cost me $140,000. I went over this before. I was paying $945 a month before utilities prior to purchasing that property. And then when I purchased the property, with rates being so low, it only cost me $709 a month. The property now rents for $1,240 a month. Why is that? I wanted to live in that property. I knew it would sell. I knew I would get the deal because it was a single family home, not in the best neighborhood. The neighborhood was up and coming, and it is much better in just a year's time, which is great to see that, I analyzed this deal properly and it actually paid off. The neighborhood is getting better. More people are wanting to pay more to live there. And then the property values are still pretty low. So the appreciation isn't there, but the rents are going up. I actually lived in the property for 1 month myself. Why did I live in there? Because that was my home, right? And then things happened, things changed, and I needed to move out. I was able to rent it out very, very easily. And I was able to get almost twice as much as what the mortgage was because I did not go with the 15-year option. Now, would I not have chosen the 15-year option knowing what I know now? I don't know. Maybe I would have chose the 30. Maybe I would have chose the 15. I can always pay it like a 15, yes. However, the 15 would have had even better rates than the 2.625% that I got, which would have been unbelievable, right? And then for such a small amount as 140K, the payment may have not differed too much or varied too much, right? So looking at all those things, you got to determine what is best for your situation and how you would like to run your business. Now, having that 30-year mortgage allowed my debt to be much more smaller, and when tying the rental income into that, I am now capable of paying more on a mortgage if I want. A lot of investors would say, why would you pay more on a under 3% mortgage when you're under inflation, blah, 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 blah. Well, it's because everybody does not like payments, right? And everybody's mental capacity is different. And there's a peace of mind that comes with knowing that your home could potentially be paid off. Some people just can't simply understand that. And that's understandable. We understand maximizing your income for the life that you live is important. I like to maximize my income as well. But I also like to minimize my risk. And there is risk involved with everything. And so we need to also look at that. A lot of investors do not analyze risk at all, right? Their risk compared to somebody else is completely different. And as long as what's working for them works, risk is not taken into consideration. So if you're following me because I am actually someone who is more conservative with my money and will account for some risks, but not to the point where I am as tolerant as Dave Ramsey. Don't have a rental unless you pay off your first home, X, Y, and Z, right? Or pay that in cash. No, I'm not that risk tolerant. I will take out debt for products that make sense. However, I will not take out debt for a product that is cash flowing a small amount and not enough to where I can justify whether I go 2 or 3 months without a payment, right? I also buy properties that I can pay myself at any given time, or that have multiple ins and outs to it. For example, I'm looking at a fourplex right now that is worth $350,000. It was listed at $460,000. I tried to buy it for $330,000 a few months back when interest rates were a little bit lower at 6% or so, and they would not sell for that now. So now they're almost there. They're about $20,000 short of that price point. However, rates have increased to 7%. And so I adjust my entry point because they have not done any repairs, right? The repairs that are needed are going to cost upwards of $70,000 to $100,000. So for anyone who is like, oh my God, a fourplex for $330K, well, the fourplex is really worth over $400,000. They just haven't done the work needed in order for me to get in at that price point. So with that being said, the loan amount is significantly lower because there is a discount on the home for it not being fully ready to move into. And I also understand that when rates go down, I will be able to refinance at a lower rate. Will I refinance my other properties? No, I will never refinance my other properties because they're both under 3%, and I don't see a reason to do so. However, on the fourplex, if I buy it now and I'm able to refinance at 4.5% later down the line, that's going to make me thousands of dollars a month in just income. And I'm still going to be working towards paying that off as well if I take out a mortgage on it, right? So I'm looking at this opportunity as a big opportunity to increase my overall income, my overall cash flow by going big or going home, right? So I went from a 140K property to a 215K property, which has both gone up significantly in the last 1 to 2 years. And so when I'm looking at a property that is now almost worth $400,000 and it's not even fixed up and ready to go, this is a bigger risk, a bigger pool that I'm going into. However, I also understand that there's a lot of upside to this, and that I know from my experience that although I haven't gotten into multifamily, I've done house hacking, I've done leases, I have rented to tenants, and with a fourplex, I have a lot more people giving me an income, which lowers my risk. I'm also still working my W-2 job, which lowers my risk, right? And then I'm also within the state, so I'm not purchasing properties out of state yet, and that also lowers my risk. And so when I look at these options that I have afforded to me, this makes more sense. This is okay for my risk tolerance, right? The scary part is when you're getting a contractor to come in and do a lot of work for you, and then trusting them because you hear your stories on contractors and things like this. So I try to get people who are reputable, people who have worked for other people that I know in the past. Those are the type of people that I try to get on my jobs. This is a good key because those people will never bail on you, right? I haven't had someone who has worked for my uncle or my friends in the past then bail on me on a future project, because why are we hiring them? We're hiring them because we've heard that they're good for the job and they want to keep their name good, right? And so when I hire someone to do this work and they tell me they're going to do this work, it may take a little while, but it does get done. So if it was only the roof that needed repair, then I would have hopped on this deal already. However, there's a lot of foundational work. There's a lot of electrical work that needs done. There's a lot of mold. There's a lot of termites. And so there's a lot of things that are affecting this property that, I haven't had to have done before in the past, in the stages of my career as an investor. And so when taking that into account, I am doing my numbers appropriately and making sure that this deal makes a whole lot of sense and that I'm under $1,000 prior to getting the cash flow needed in order to fund this deal. And so when you are looking at a deal, you want to ensure that, again, there's enough wiggle room, there's enough space for you to operate in comfortability. Don't take a deal that you're uncomfortable with. And as an investor, that's hard because your real estate agent will tell you, or at least mine will tell me that, hey, this is impossible. They're going to drop it 5,000, 10,000. You're not going to get more than that, right? And then for agents who say that, I love my relationships, so I haven't let go of my real estate agent. I've kept them. However, as an investor, I know for myself that I will not accept a deal that is subpar, and I will keep fighting until I get the deal that is best for me. And if my agent doesn't like that, or if you're new and you don't have an agent at all, I would suggest looking for an investor-friendly agent who understands that they're going to have to fight in order to get you your deal. A lot of agents right now, still in 2022, they don't want to fight because they haven't had to fight in so long. And so when you come to them and you say, hey, I need $30,000 off of this property, they don't understand what that means. They haven't seen that in a year, maybe 2 years. And so you're barking up the wrong tree in that regard. You have to be intellectually sound. You have to be smart enough to diagnose a property, understand what the values are, understand what you can get, understand the benefits, understand the pros and cons, and still try to negotiate further more off the deal. Try to get the best opportunity for you, because hey, when you're starting off, all my future investors, it's going to be tough. And you want to make it as easy as possible in order to continue to thrive and make money and be successful in this environment. I haven't had any negative dealings thus far. Yes, have I lost deals? Of course. I've lost several deals, especially multifamily deals. My first deal was supposed to be multifamily, but I knew that it was a bidding war in 2021 to get into any multifamily. And so I took that 140K house that had just dropped in value by $5,000, and I negotiated another $5,000 off, and then I negotiated another $3,000 for foundational work. Whereas the other property sold for 20K over asking price on the multifamily deal that I did not opt in to get, right? And so rather than being negotiated up, I negotiated down on something else, and I got a really, really good deal for me where I make over $540 a month in cash flow from it, which I think is really, really good for 140K, not including the principal payments that is going towards the mortgage, right? So how I look at that is I got a steal of a deal. I didn't get the multifamily unit. However, I did get a beautiful unit that I would actually live in myself, that rents really, really good, and rents will go up from $1,240 to $1,300 in February. So that $540 that I'm making will then be $600 a month off of that one unit. So the way I look at it is, rents will continue to increase depending on the markets that you're in, and you need to maximize that by maximizing your opportunity. One way I'm maximizing my opportunity is buying properties that make sense now in this market, knowing that rates will not be at 8% forever or 7% forever. And this way, when rates do go back down, it is going to be our time to become multi-millionaires through real estate investing by refinancing to a lower term while still getting a lower rate. And in turn, that is going to lower the amount we pay, lower the rate that we were given, and put more cash in our pockets while still paying off our home quicker rather than going to a 30-year and prolonging payments, right? And so when I look at that, I'm like, wow, a 7% rate going back to 5 or 4.5% on a 15-year, 10 years from now, which is going to save me 5 years on my mortgage, probably lower my payment by $200, and my rents have gone up 3 times in the last 10 years. I mean, so it's a no-brainer, right? And this is what I'm looking at. This is what I'm trying to maximize. I'm not trying to stop at that 4 unit, right? I'm trying to get more units. And so in order to do that, you need, again, an investor-friendly agent who is staying in contact with who you're trying to buy from. You need to be looking at deals. You need to be saving money aggressively. You need to not be taking out unnecessary debt like car loans and things like that in order to boost a credit score that shouldn't need to be boosted, right? So a lot of people talk about boosting their credit score. My credit score has never been under 700 or 730. Why is that? Well, it's simply because I always paid off my bills on time, every time. It's nothing less than that. A lot of people spend more money on their credit card. If you listen to anything that Dave Ramsey says, you've probably heard that 100 times. You're going to spend more money having a credit card, and I do believe that's true. But we all know our budgets. And for me, although I spend a lot, I've never gone over my budget. Why? Because I look at my bank account every single day and I know what that budget is, right? So it's very weird to me when I'm spending $1,000 or $2,000 in a month, but I never go over my budget because I know, wow, I can't spend $3,000-$4,000 a month on fun, right? I know I can't do that. And so that lifestyle creep, which allowed me to spend $2,000 for the last 6 months consistently, was shocking. It was crazy, right? So all my money was coming in and right back out the door. So I knew something needed to change. Did I cancel my credit cards? Absolutely not. But what I did do is limit the amount of times that I ate out. Okay? So in limiting the amount of times that I ate out, I ended up spending only $1,000 on my credit card that month. And then the next month, I spent $400. And then I started to look at the savings that I was putting back into my bank. And I said, wow, I was always a good saver, but for whatever reason, in 2022, I had a lifestyle creep, talking to a lot of women and different things like that, to where I was spending $2,000 a month for almost 6 months on multiple dates, on multiple outings, multiple job events, multiple meetups, just to see and meet and greet other people, multiple family events and things like that, traveling. And so ultimately, I knew that I had to buckle down. Not that there was an emergency or anything, but just that there was way too much money leaving the door and I needed to refocus myself. And in doing so, I got back on the right track. So when you're spending an extra $1,600 a month, you need to know when to buckle down. You need to know when to tighten up. And that $400 was typically food and gas, right? Food and gas to get there and to get back. And that's really the essentials. Everything else is just for fun. So when I'm spending that $10 on fast food or whatever it is, I need to understand that, yes, $10 doesn't sound like much at all, but over the course of a week, when you look back at your bank account and you see that your credit card hasn't incurred any additional debts for that entire week, and you get paid next week, then it's like, wow, hold up. It's like I worked a whole week and didn't spend any money. I'm going to be richer than I was last week by this Friday because I didn't spend any money whatsoever. That is amazing, right? You start to feel good about that. And so, those little things, if you can wait 7 days or 14 days, you start to see a big change in your mentality, in your habits, and your lifestyle. And that helps you save for your next deal. That helps you invest more. That helps you continue to build for your future and invest in your future. So I know I was scattered throughout this, but I really wanted to speak on what your investment strategy is. Are you a short-term investor? Are you a long-term investor? Are you okay with payments? Does any type of payment make sense to you long-term? Would you want to always have debt and refinance for tax benefits and things like that? All these things we will cover throughout the course of my channel in order to help you, and it'll be more structured, more detailed towards specific topics. But I just wanted to get that out there, who I am, what I invest in, why I invest in it, how disciplined I am when it comes to these things in order to maintain that focus so that we can continue to move up and move forward, right? So thank you again for your time. Like, subscribe for more content, and it was a pleasure speaking with you all. Thank you for taking the time to listen to me.